In 2011, at the University of Bonn's epilepsy monitoring unit, surgeons slid an electrode 2 millimeters from a structure the size of a pea, a nub of tissue called the habenula. The patient didn't know it yet, but every time he made a mistake, before the thought even reached him, that pea-sized structure fired. Researchers still cannot explain how something so small predicts failure faster than the mind that owns it. His name was withheld. Case files call him patient B, 34 years old, admitted for seizure mapping, wired with over 100 electrodes threading through his skull like a subway map. He agreed to a simple gambling task: pick a card, win or lose points, while machines listened to the deepest parts of his brain. Nobody expected the habenula to be the loudest voice in the room. It sits near the center of the brain, barely visible, wrapped around the thalamus like an afterthought. For decades it was cataloged and ignored. Then the recordings came back. Every single time patient B lost every wrong card, every missed point, his habenula fired within milliseconds. Not after he registered the loss. Before, the signal arrived while his conscious mind was still processing the image on the screen. Researchers reviewed the timestamps 3 times, certain the equipment had drifted. It hadn't. The habenula was reacting to failure before failure had been consciously perceived. The obvious theory was reflex. Scientists assumed the habenula simply relayed bad news, a passive messenger telling the reward centers to dim their lights. That explanation fit everything known about dopamine. Fail and dopamine drops. The habenula, sitting upstream, seemed like nothing more than a switch. Case closed, they thought. A tidy piece of biological plumbing. For a while, nobody looked closer. But then came the complication. When researchers suppressed habenula activity in later trials, using targeted stimulation to quiet it, patients didn't just stop feeling bad about losing. They kept making the same mistake, over and over, unbothered, as if failure had lost all meaning. The habenula wasn't just reporting disappointment. It was manufacturing the punishment itself, generating the aversive signal that makes failure feel like failure at all. Silence it, and the brain stops learning from its own losses. That shouldn't be possible from a structure this small, this old, this rarely discussed outside specialist journals. Here is the detail that still unsettles the researchers who study it. The habenula doesn't wait for context. It doesn't check whether the failure matters. In follow-up studies, subjects who lost points in a meaningless game, no money, no consequence, nothing at stake, showed identical habenula spikes to subjects playing for real cash. The structure cannot tell the difference between a trivial loss and a devastating one. It punishes both with the same electrical intensity. And in several documented cases, patients with overactive habenula signaling report a specific bleak sensation, the certainty that they are about to fail, arriving seconds before any objective reason to believe it. Clinicians studying treatment-resistant depression have found the same region locked in a pattern of chronic overfiring, as if some internal switch got stuck in the "you have already lost" position and stayed there for years, regardless of what was actually happening in the person's life. Doctors tried the usual explanations. Maybe it was learned pessimism, a psychological habit rather than a biological fault. Maybe medication could simply recalibrate it, the way antidepressants adjust serotonin elsewhere. Neither held up. Deep brain stimulation aimed directly at the habenula produced rapid mood shifts in treatment-resistant patients, sometimes within hours, suggesting the structure isn't downstream of mood. It may be upstream of it, generating the emotional verdict before the rest of the brain has a say. If that's true, a 2 millimeter structure most people have never heard of may be issuing a punishment ruling on your day before you've consciously lost anything. Nobody has found a way to make it listen to context. Nobody has explained why a structure built to help you learn from failure can't distinguish a lost card game from a lost decade. The electrode from that 2011 recording is long gone, the data archived in a drawer at Bonn. But the habenula in your own skull right now is running the same circuit, timing itself to fire before you know you've failed, and no one currently understands what, if anything, is supposed to stop it.